Great aerial shot of the corner of Addison and Sheffield, and Wrigley Field buzzing today. Good to see the sun out. It's the Hyundai leadoff man on WGN Sports. The Pirates and the Cubs coming up in about 20 minutes. Great to have you with us, Len Casper here from the ballpark. A little chilly today. We had a lot of fog in the area, but the sun's starting to burn that away, and we're set for Cubs baseball. The Cubs won Game 1, 6-3 on Friday. Let's check out the highlights last night of Game 2. A lot of rain. We had a delay of 2 hours and 1 minute before the first pitch. The Pirates would get off to a 1-0 lead as Jordy Mercer homering for the second consecutive day, this time off Travis Wood. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the fourth. The Cubs, however, would come back on a breaking ball from Vance Worley. Home run number 15 for Anthony Rizzo, and the Cubs leading 2-1. Top of the fifth now. Josh Harrison, who's had a terrific year for the Pirates with a single up the middle. That would tie the ball game at 2 apiece. Then it was Andrew McCutchen, last year's MVP. Only hit in the series, but a big one, giving Pittsburgh a 3-2 advantage, and they would not trail again off Justin Grimm. An opposite field 2-run homer by Harrison. So a 3 RBI night for the former Cub farmhand Harrison. So 5-2 at that point. Eli Whiteside in the bottom of the seventh would get the Cubs to within a couple. This is a double off the wall. Darwin Barney coming around, and he would score. But that's it. The Cubs could not get to the closer, Mark Melancon, who struck out the side in the ninth. Gregory Polanco now has hit in 11 games to start his career, and 5 hits for the Cubs, and they were certainly spread out. The leadoff man is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come test drive the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit myHyundaiChicago.com. You by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Rubber match today. Brandon Compton, a right-hander for the Pirates. Jason Hamill, a right-hander for the Cubs. One nice development here over the first few months of the season has been the improvement of this young bullpen. Let's hear from the manager, Ricky Renteria, talking about Hector Rondon and some of those hard throwers at the back end of the pen.
For those guys in the latter part of the ballgame, it's just their composure, their demeanor. Obviously, they all have good stuff. Which helps, but it's the way they just keep their composure on the hill in situations like those. It's the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. They're special innings, obviously, and I think when guys have the presence of a mound presence, that's basically let me get after these guys. It really helps.
Well, you saw what Rizzo did last night with the home run. Are you able to allow yourself to sit back and enjoy when it's going good for a young player like that?
Well, I do enjoy it, obviously, because we're the beneficiaries of their success. But I think, like all things, we wait till the end of the season or whatever the case might be so that you can actually take it all in and reflect on what's been good and bad. Right now we're just taking the moments and living them and, living vicariously through them and hopefully our clubs are continue to move forward.
He's not starting today, but how big will it be when Wellington gets back into the lineup? How big will his bat be?
Well, I mean, more than anything, just having him back. He's been with the club here now, developing as a catcher and being a part of the Cubs moving forward, and just having him back and healthy, being able to get back out there again with his teammates will be good to have.
You see Ricky wearing the throwback cap and uniform today. These two teams will honor the decade of the 50s. Ernie Banks made his debut in 1953. We'll take a look back in a moment. Brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Well, the Cubs continue to celebrate the 100th birthday of this beautiful ballpark decade by decade. This homestand, it's about the 1950s. It was not a good decade for the team. Their best record, 77 and 77, right at 500 in 1952. But by far the best thing to come out of the 1950s for the Cubs, a young shortstop named Ernie Banks. He played shortstop from 1953 in his debut until 1961. A little bit of third base in 57, and of course would move to first base in the 60s, where he would finish his Hall of Fame career. We have Cubs baseball coming up from Wrigley Field. The Pirates and the Cubs next. A sunny and cool afternoon as we have officially hit summer in Chicago, and it's a rubber game today. The Pirates and the Cubs on WGN Sports. We welcome Cub fans from all over the country watching on WGN America, America's home for baseball. Great to have you with us alongside Jim DeShays. I'm Len Casper. The two guys, 24-year-olds, Anthony Rizzo, Starlin Castro, continuing their fine seasons. Rizzo with a big 2-run homer last night. He's hit 15 on the year.
Yeah, as we get to this point in the season, we start to focus a little bit on the All-Star game. Paul Goldschmidt is leading the voting. We'll take a look first at the swing by Anthony Rizzo. I picked on a breaking ball from Vance Worley. That was home run number 15 for Rizzo, but he compares favorably to a very talented cast of first basemen in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt is leading the voting, but Rizzo putting up very good numbers as well. You see the numbers, batting average, Goldschmidt across the board, very good numbers, home runs, RBIs. He's had about 30-plus more ABs with runners on scoring base than Rizzo. And we get a little deeper now as we look at the OPS. Rizzo is second in the National League among first basemen, second in on base, wins above replacement, trailing at Goldschmidt. But he's among the cream of the crop. Freeman's good, LaRoche's good, a bunch of them, but Rizzo right there.
And Castro also with a late surge might be able to make his third All-Star game as well. Rematch on the mound, Hamill and Compton, and the Pirates were victorious in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, June 11th they hooked up as Jason Hamill allowed 11 hits, the most he's allowed in a game this year, 5 innings. They've managed to hold them to just 4 runs, but the Pirates won that ball game 4-2. Brandon Compton, a rookie right-hander, has made 7 starts. They've had some injury problems over there in Pittsburgh in the rotation. His ERA is high, but one really bad game, kind of an outlier there. There is the numbers for his start against the Cubs in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Vance Worley very good last night. Michael McDermott coming up with God Bless America and our national anthem.
And join Michael McDermott as he honors our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountain to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in it, it gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Cubs baseball, brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Ford, manufacturers of America's best-selling brand. Check out our best-selling lineup at your local Ford store or online at localfordstores.com. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. That was a little earlier today. The fog has lifted a little bit. But what a beautiful shot as we now get a look inside Wrigley Field. Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN TV. Brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. We continue to look back to the Cubs in the 1950s. How about the 1952 National League Most Valuable Player, outfielder named Hank Sauer. He was a big guy, 6'4", 199. He did not really become a regular starter until he was 31 years old. Mayor of Wrigley Field, Hank Sauer. He was 35 in 52 when he won that Most Valuable Player award.
Yeah, he had an 860 OPS before OPS was even invented. He was ahead of his time.
So the Cubs wearing the 1953 throwbacks. The Pirates are as well. The Pirates uniforms pretty similar to the ones they wear currently, but no names on the back of either team's jerseys. And now the Pirates starting lineup written out by Clint Hurdle. The rookie Gregory Polanco extending his hitting streak to 11 on an overturned replay last night. More on that later. Harrison the big game. McCutchen one hit in the series, but a game winner. Ike Davis at first. Jordy Mercer moving up in the order because you see what he's done this month. 5 home runs. Pedro Alvarez is at third. Travis Snyder in for Starling Marte, who's back home in the Dominican dealing with a personal matter. Chris Stewart gets a start for Russell Martin, and Compton, the pitcher, bats 9th.
Cubs defensively. Coughlin, Sweeney, Shearholtz left center, right. Third to first we go Valbuena, Castro, Barney, and Rizzo. Behind the plate is John Baker. And on the bump is Jason Hamill. Check out the little throwback logo down there at the bottom of our graphic. That's pretty cool. Jason Hamill's pitching today. He's 6-4. He has a 3.02 ERA through 14 starts, 89 and a third innings of work. He's allowed 72 hits, 7 of which have left the ballpark. Walked 19, struck out 85. Very solid stuff for Jason Hamill. Sure, plenty of scouts with eyes on him today as the trade deadline gets a little bit closer. That whip has been among the best in the league all year long. On base plus slugging, way better than league average. Fastball, slider, changeup for Hamill. You see the walk numbers are good. The strikeout numbers above average. Good solid stuff for the veteran right-hander.
James Hoy gets home plate. Bill Welke at first. Bob Davidson, the crew chief, at second. John Tumpane is at third. The forecast is blimp-worthy. 65 degrees, a little crisp, high humidity. The air is pretty heavy.
That's cool. You can see the reflection of the blimp there.
So here is Polanco. Check out the Pirates' 53 unis. Not a ton of success for these two franchises in that decade. Pirates would go on in 1960 and win the World Series. Cubs with their zipper tops, and we're underway. Fastball low.
This is Hamill's 4th start against the Pirates this year. He's 2-1 through 3 starts with a 386.
Popped him up as Barney backpedals shallow right, and he makes a catch for out number 1. So Polanco ended up extending his hitting streak by picking up an infield hit last night in the 7th inning. It was a ground ball. Terrific play by Castro just to flag it down, but then he took a little too much time. Originally Polanco was called out. They did overturn it via a manager's challenge. That kept the inning alive for this guy, Josh Harrison, who hit a 2-run homer. That was a big play in the game. Let's check out the ground ball first. Look at the long strides.
Yeah, he just chews up the turf, and you know, to get an infield hit on a ball hit that sharply is very, very rare. And there was a little bit of a hesitation by Castro, but I think there are going to be a lot of players surprised by the speed of Polanco going down that first base line. You know, he's one of those guys. Maybe you tighten up a little bit, play a little closer, and obviously you have to be awfully quick unloading that baseball to first base.
So Harrison followed that up with a 2-run homer. That was the first time in the history of expanded replay that an overturned third out made into a safe call was immediately followed by a home run. So I'd have to say that was a pretty significant moment in the game last night.
It's a good challenge. Oh my.
2-2.
Missed that one by 3 feet. Ooh. Yeah. That slide ball was never on the plate. That was a ball-to-ball slider. Harrison offered. Ooh, not seeing it well today.
And he strikes out, 2 down.
Guy shows a willingness of swinging the ball that far off the plate. You might as well try another one. Hamill does, and they get him.
Well, you could see, look at that. Some of that haze is at ground level on the field. I think there's a fog machine coming out of second base or something. It's bounced foul.
Yeah.
Good evening.
It's like the movie, The 10 Commandments.
1 ball, 1 strike on Andrew McCutchen.
This is where you want McCutchen. 2 outs, nobody on. This is when you want to face this guy. Not that he can't create offense by himself with his speed. He's a good table setter as well as a run producer. But obviously, if there's men on base ahead of him, you can't really tiptoe around him. Not this early in the ball game.
McCutchen, a lot like Luis Valbuena. You often watch him bat and you see, oh, it's 3-1 or 2-0. Gets into a hitter's count and then he lets it rip. 3-2.
Jason at the mercy of the count there. First inning, doesn't want to walk a speedy guy, so challenges with a 3-1 heater. McCutchen pulled off it a little bit.
Driven to right. Coming over is Sherholtz, and on the move. He's got it, and that will end the inning. The Pirates go in order. The Cubs are coming up. By Mazda in the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. This is the Cubs' 11th straight game facing a right-handed starter. Coghlan, Sweeney, Rizzo, bunch of lefties at the top. Castro in the middle there between Rizzo and Valbuena. Nate Scherholtz, John Baker, more left-handed bats, and then Barney and Hamill, righties at the bottom.
And the Pirates defensively, Travis Snider making his first start in left field this year. He's played a fair bit over and right, but now that belongs to Gregory Polanco. And of course, Marte's not here. McCutchen in center field, one of the best in the business. Left side of the infield features Mercer at short, Alvarez at third. Alvarez has made a ton of errors, just about all but one of them throwing. Harrison plays third. He plays second. He can play the corner outfield positions. He's at second today. Ike Davis is the first baseman. Chris Stewart, the backup catcher, is starting today, and Brandon Compton, a rookie, is 2-2 through 7 big league starts with a .582 ERA. 10 of those earned runs allowed in one start against the Dodgers. Other than that, he's been pretty solid. He's a sinker baller, pitches to contact. That whip a little high, significantly high, as a matter of fact. Again, that one bat out and contributing to a lot of that. He's only thrown 38 2/3 innings.
And the first pitch strike on Chris Coghlan. Last 4 games, 5 hits, double, triple, homer among them.
Compton leans heavily on a sinking fastball. He'll throw a ton of them.
That was it right there. Thought Vance Worley's sinker was really good last night. So Worley and Compton are in their rotation because Liriano and Cole currently on the DL. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gotta go slow when you eat the ice cream and the cold stuff. They call it brain freeze, right? Everything's good. Oh, man.
Got him. Snuck up on him. Like a sneaky fastball.
You know how to get rid of brain freeze?
No.
Press your tongue to the roof of your mouth.
Really?
Yep.
Does that stop the hiccups too? No?
I don't think so, but that's the part of the mouth that's really cold and causes that splitting headache for about 3 seconds. So you warm up that part of your head and mouth and get rid of brain freeze.
I'm going to try that tonight. I'm going to do a little self-induced brain freeze and see how quickly I can fix it.
Do not try that at home. Inside on Ryan Sweeney, it's 2-1.
Now the numbers certainly support all the left-handed bats in the lineup for the Cubs today. Left-handed batters hitting .355 against Compton coming into this start. No home runs though. He's only allowed the 1 home run, so he's been really good in that department.
He's a Georgia guy from Evans, Georgia, and he went to Georgia Tech. And that will get down in front of Travis Snider for a base hit. Ryan Sweeney's aboard.
That's a pretty good approach there with that sinker moving down and away. Be willing to shoot it the other way. Compton makes his pitch, breaks his bat. Sweeney able to drop one in front of Snider out there for a 1-out single.
Here's Rizzo getting into the spirit. With the pant bottoms really hiked up. Actually, a lot of the Cubs doing that today. Showing off those nifty stirrups. Those are
go ahead.
Those are stirrups. You can tell you the bottoms are white with the blue and red striping.
Solid work right there. That's a good look. Compton has stumbled a couple times on the mound out there today.
Setting up in. That's where the pitch was. 2 balls, no strikes. Miss, I assume, Nebraska in attendance?
Or Miss Newberry Plaza. Of course, there'd be a W there, wouldn't it?
Yes, there would.
Miss Nevermind.
Miss, no, I believe it.
Miss Nebraska? I've never even been there.
Fouled away.
Groucho Marx line.
2-1.
All right, so you got a ground ball pitcher. You got a 2-1 count. You don't really want to play hit and run with Rizzo. You don't want to force him to swing at a bad pitch, but it would be a bad idea to start Sweeney here. He's not, a great base stealer, but he moves pretty well.
That Portland Trailblazers logo cut into the infield grass. Fly ball, center field, and just not going to fly today. Wind pushes that ball back toward the infield.
But first, let me take a selfie.
You can tweet us your Cubs selfies at #WGN Cubs. Hey, it's Bud Bates, the Kankakee Rib King, and his son Terry. Send us your photos. WGN Cubs. That's the hashtag. So 2 outs in the inning. Here's Castro. Big 3-run homer on Friday. A walk and 3 strikeouts last night. Another fly ball, and again, not going to carry. McCutchen makes the play, and the inning is over. Some good 50s tunes as we go to break today. Second inning from Wrigley Field, 0-0. Jason Hamill back to work. He's usually ready to go the second we get back from break. Does not spend a lot of time dawdling. He gets it and he's ready to throw it.
He is not a dawdler.
56th game in a Pirates uniform for Ike Davis since the trade from the Mets in April. .385 career at Wrigley, .338 career versus Cubs. And the 2-0 fouled off.
Yeah, patient hitter, willing to work a walk. He hasn't given the Pirates the slugging numbers they'd like to see from him. a guy who's capable of being, pretty good run producer as the left side of a right-left platoon. He has really struggled in his career against lefties. I think it makes more sense to use him in platoon role.
It's basically how he has been utilized. Gabby Sanchez gets pretty much all the starts against lefties. 3-2.
Yeah, it's really not a bad way to go because it gives you a confident bat on the bench. Face a tough reliever from the other side later in the ball game. I mean, ideally, I guess you'd like to have a first baseman that you run out there every day who's good against both right and left. 1 out of 20 against lefties so far this year.
Drills one into center, and they're not caught. Good effort. Sweeney just could not hang on to it. And that's the first Pirates hit.
Always a tough play for a center fielder. The ball hit directly at him. Tough to get a read, to get an angle. He actually makes a nice play on it. Initially just could not secure the baseball.
And had time to curse as he was throwing the ball back into the infield. It's frustrating. The thing about outfielders in plays like that, see how big the glove is? I mean, those outfielders, they want as big a glove as possible, but you lose a little control when you hit the ground.
Well, sometimes if the glove catches the ground, it'll kind of bend the fingers back a little bit. He's a good outfielder, though. He's made a lot of really good plays out there. It's always a risk reward too when you leave your feet on a ball like that. If you don't keep it in front, the guy's going to get at least 1 extra base, maybe 2 more.
We're used to seeing Jordy Mercer near the bottom of their order. He's hitting 5th today. He's 3 for 7 in the series with 2 home runs. Low batting average on the year, but he's been very good in the month of June. And a ground ball, diving stop, at least knocked down by Valbuena. Throw to second in time to get Davis. Nice play just to get an out.
And Davis hard into second base, maybe jammed an ankle. A little slow to get up.
Clint Hurdle will not even walk out to think about a challenge, and it looked like they got him. Let's see on our replay.
Nice job by Valbuena to scramble after that one. Presence of mind to know he's still got a shot at second base. Well, that wasn't the prettiest slide, was it? That's a he's going to throw this ball to first base or he's not going to make a play on me slide.
You're right.
And it cost them. Almost cost him in 2 ways, because then the awkward slide ultimately is why he was a little slow getting up.
That made me think of something. Have you, what did you mention about the scenario where you would run through second base?
If there was a man on third there, and say that would have been the third out in the inning.
Gotcha. Run through the base.
Run through the base.
Get that run.
Yeah, that's one of those plays that you sit around talking baseball, and I've been in conversations when we've talked about that play. The only guy I ever saw try it was Brad Ausmus.
Did it work?
I don't remember. I think he was out.
Nice end to the story.
I think he was out, but we were just like, hey, he tried it. That's really good. But I believe the throw beat him.
Well, you left-handers, I was working with C.J. Nitkowski last night. He mentioned, the home plate play and the catchers now giving way, not being able to block the plate. With the idea of almost telling your guys not to slide, just run. If they're going to give you a lane, run through the base.
Through the lane.
Even if there might be a tag play. Like a little bit of a delayed steal attempt, and out at second is Mercer, 2 down. Been a problem for the Cubs in throwing out base stealers, but a nice play by Baker. They get Mercer.
Yeah, clubs have been taking liberties. When they look at the numbers of the Cubs catchers, we've seen clubs that don't do a lot of running base runners that typically don't steal a lot of bases trying to do so. We've seen it with the Marlins. Now Mercer, not really a base stealer. He tries to get one here. Baker guns him down there.
2-5 on the caught stealing at second.
Just the second caught stealing for Baker. 26 had been successful. Good for him. Yeah, well, the other thing, we were talking about this before the game too, it is not illegal to run over the catcher. It's illegal to go out of your way to make that's
to hit a guy who's out of that lane. Yep. Who wants it? Castro. Excellent effort in the bullpen. He had a long run to get there, and he just couldn't make the play.
Yeah, that would have boosted his zone rating. They're playing strong pull for Alvarez, so he's way over towards second base. A long and winding road, and he comes up just a little bit short. And it's hard when you're tracking that ball. He said, well, you got to know where you are on the field. You could tell he pulled up. He wasn't sure where he was. But when you have to track one that far, that's not an easy play at all.
Two to Alvarez. And he could not hold up on that pitch in the dirt. Second strikeout for Hamels. Scoreless early. Brewers beat the Rockies last night 9-4. 3 runs scoring on a wild pitch. There's one.
This is what the players refer to as a yard sale.
There's 2. Gene Segura taking advantage of Christian Friedrich just kind of falling asleep.
And McHenry was doubled over a little bit because he was hurt on the play.
See how close that ball was to being out of play. Actually benefited the Brewers and it stayed in play. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Can't say I've ever seen that play before.
Well, you got to keep an eye on Gene Segura. He'll steal first base on you if you give him a chance.
It never gets old. Outside ball 1 on Luis Valbuena. It's cooled off here after a really hot stretch. For his last 14. Make it 15.
Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. There's a facsimile of the airship. But it's really up there. That's why you're getting those beautiful pictures. Thanks, guys. Great shot.
Dave Hudson, Brett Dietz. Dave working the camera up there. Is he one of the Hudson brothers?
I think he is a Hudson brother.
Chucky Margolis. One strike on Nate Scherholtz.
You've been hanging out all weekend, these guys.
What's it?
The blimp.
Yeah.
Friday, they're floating around the city for the weekend. The who now?
Chucky Margolis. You remember that character from the Hudson
I know the
Brothers
name.
show?
Yeah. I can't
The fact that I know that is very alarming.
That was a summer replacement series, the Hudson Brothers. Or like Sonny and Cher or something.
Backhanded play by Harrison. And a perfect throw to get Scherholtz. Mentioned this the other day. Neil Walker should be back on Tuesday off the disabled list. And Clint Hurdle will find ways to keep Harrison in the lineup. Playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah, he'd been playing a bunch of right field, but they called Polanco up, and Polanco's going to get all the at-bats out there. But, yeah, the way Harrison's been playing this year, Clint Hurdle's going to have to find a way to get him in the lineup 4 or 5 times a week. You know, spell Alvarez against a tough left-hander. Well, spell Alvarez against any left-hander. Get Harrison's bat in there.
Oh, 0-2 to Baker. Wellington Castillo activated from the disabled list today. And as a result, Eli Whiteside has been designated for assignment. Also, kind of a procedural move. Left-hander Tsuyoshi Wada. Oh, what a play. Brandon Compton has snagged that liner to end the inning. Wada selected and then optioned to Iowa. I walk the line.
Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you.
#100 moment. It was on this date, June 22nd, 1969, when Ron Santo performed the first clicking of the heels after a Cubs victory, and the manager Leo DeRocher loved it, so he continued to do it. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
He got big air on those heel clicks.
He did. Travis Snyder sends one high and deep to center. Sweeney goes back, and it is gone. A home run. Wind had died down a bit. Still blowing in, but not very hard. But he got all of it. And just got it out of here. 4th homer of the year for Snyder.
So they're trying to go up and in with a fastball, and it ran back out over the plate a little bit, and Snyder just rides it out of here. 8th one allowed by Jason Hamill.
Mentioned earlier, Starling Marte did not play last night, as he had to leave the team due to a personal matter. So it was Jose Tabata Saturday night, and Snyder today, and coming through with a leadoff home run here in the 3rd. 1-1 on Chris Stewart.
He must have gotten a tip from Jordy Mercer. I hear him say, "Good advice, Jordy."
One ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball low and outside. I wish we knew Grandma's name, but
lifelong fan.
She's a lifelong fan. Happy 80.
Oh, and happy 56 to Dale Wagner. Had him out in the concourse a little while ago with his son celebrating a birthday.
We got a big day tomorrow. I have to mention it today on WGN, but you have a birthday coming up. Our executive producer, Bob Vorwald, my mom, all sharing the same birthday, June 23rd. Yeah. Well, I will try not to forget tomorrow, but if I do, happy birthday early.
Stores don't close till 9, so I think you're going to have a little time after the game today. I'm extra large, tall.
Okay.
You know.
We're talking about a Starbucks coffee, right?
Croquet set would be nice in the summertime.
Compton with a good bunt. Hamill to Rizzo for the out.
Cup fans, if you want to manage the game along with Rick Renteria, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you're watching from home. Game Zone is sponsored by the Great Escape. Pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more.
Life is good. But no, I want to go there. Ball 1 on Gregory Polanco. Stewart is the runner at second. Snyder homered to start the frame. Outside.
Polanco with an 11-game hitting streak to start his career, the longest such streak since Juan Pierre hit in 16 straight for the Rockies in 2000. I don't know what the all-time record is. It'd be interesting to know. Impressive stuff from this young kid. First time in the league, doesn't know these pitchers, doesn't know a whole lot about them. Obviously Good scouting reports, and he can watch video. He's just trusting his own skill set right now.
Barney from glove to glove, as he knew he wasn't going to have a lot of time, as they get the speedy Polanco. 2 outs, runner at third.
And if there's just a little more air under that flip, Polanco might beat it, but a nice play here by Barney. The key is get after it early, come aggressively, and then a little shovel over there to first base to get him.
Still a lot of fog over the city. Rough first at bat for Josh Harrison. Missed a couple of sliders by quite a bit. Happy 12th birthday, Trey Duckweiler.
Threw him a fastball there. See if they go back slider now on 1-1. Jason not happy with the execution of that one. Got away with it. Trying to go down and away, and as it drift back out over the plate. Best time to make an adjustment is to throw the very same pitch on the very next pitch. Want to fix that slider after a bad one, call for another one. There you go. Good adjustment.
The Tigers heating up again, trying to sweep the Indians in Cleveland and leading 8-0 in the 5th inning. It'll be their 4th straight win.
Verlander pitched well yesterday. Didn't get the win, but pitched well.
That one off Hamill, and the Pirates are going to get a run as a result. And hopefully Jason's all right. Don't forgot him on the backside, but that ball was hit very hard. Harrison will get an infield hit and an RBI. It's 2-0, and PJ Mainville heading out to check on his pitcher.
Well, if his mood wasn't good after that bad slider, it's gotten a little bit worse here after making another bad pitch with a breaking ball and then paying the price in a couple of ways. Physically, gets whacked by the comebacker and gives up his 2nd run.
I think he got his arm out of the way. That's the key.
Yeah, that's right. I used to get a lot of them on the backside. That's where I got hit. A really big target.
Bruised wallet is not the worst thing in the world. We saw the first ever new protective cap last night. That is Alex Torres, a reliever for the San Diego Padres against the Dodgers. So it looks a little funky.
Looks like Kazoo.
He was a teammate of Alex Cobb with the Rays last year, and Cobb suffered a nasty concussion. So Torres ordered the cap and started to wear it on occasion. He said,
how did it feel? Was it lightweight? Did it feel comfortable?
Quote, according to MLB.com, the difference between how this hat and the regular hat feels isn't much. Doesn't really feel bad. It doesn't feel like how it looks on my head. I just don't know if a lot of guys will wear it. I mean, obviously the function of it is way more important than how it looks.
Style points, yeah.
0-2 on McCutchen. Harrison runs. The throw to second. Safe.
Where was the pitch? Number 5 for Harrison. He's been caught 3 times. Well, we're going to find out where the pitch was on pitch track. Just a little bit off that outside corner.
Harrison lost his helmet sliding into the fog. But both McCutchen and Barney really banged their heads in a couple of different plays sliding into second base. So dangerous. McCutchen strikes out to end the inning. But the Pirates get a couple and now have the lead. Johnny be good. Ball blog at WGNTV.com. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 36 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. We have the anniversary of Ron Santo clicking his heels, our Wrigley 100 feature on the blog. And just to clarify, there's not dust swirling around the infield. It is fog, as we showed you earlier. The infield was watered before the game, so it's not dust flying. That's haze and fog. June 22nd. It's just a strange year weather-wise we've had. Not cold in the sun, 65 degrees. We've seen some shots of people in the bleachers wearing shorts, short sleeve shirts. A little chilly in the shade, but yeah, very odd to see all this humidity. Still 0-2 on Darwin Barney.
Brandon Compton was really pitching well at AAA at the time of his recall. He was 4-1 with a 1.35 ERA there.
interesting, isn't it? That uniform, they've got the kind of the Cubs C that we're used to. It's not quite as thick, the red letter on the uniform, but the wishbone C on the hat and the helmet. Actually, I don't even know if 53, did they wear helmets? Or did they have the inserts?
No, they weren't wearing helmets.
Yeah. So if they were wearing helmets in 1953, if they had, this is probably what they would have looked like. With no ear flap. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
The 1950s celebration continues all week long. Visit WrigleyField100.com to check out all the planned festivities. The Reds are in beginning tomorrow, and then the Nationals over the weekend. Well, Friday and Saturday, actually. Saturday is a rare split doubleheader. Tickets are available, so visit Cubs.com to purchase your seats today.
Actually, I believe that is a Thursday to Saturday series, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 4-game series. You ever had one of those scheduled?
No.
Thursday to Saturday? Very odd. As Hamill grounds out, 2 quick outs for Compton.
We haven't seen the Reds in a while, and we haven't seen the Nationals at all. We'll see. Yeah, we go to Boston on the next trip, and then D.C.
You see the Reds Friday night blew an 8-0 lead, lost to the Blue Jays, had another 8-0 lead yesterday and won that game. So they're scoring some runs.
Yeah, they're up 4-2 today. Todd Frazier has hit his 17th home run in support of Johnny Cueto. That was fast.
Chris Coghlan grounds out, and the inning is quickly over. Cubs with only 1 hit, trailing 2-0. By Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. Wellington Castile missing about 3 weeks. Went on the DL June 2nd. Comes off here on the 22nd. Had left rib cage inflammation. Eli Whiteside designated for assignment, but pretty sure the Cubs hope to keep Eli in the organization. There's Castillo. This is telling Junior Lake Bovista. Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, helping you move better so you could live better. Visit ibji.com. And more food. The 1950s inspired menu for this homestand is Mike Davis is down 0-2. We've got 3 different selections here in the booth, and you had them explained to you. Correct?
Yeah. Chef gave me the skinny. We got the Kraft grilled cheese and tomato bisque with a side of crinkle cut fries.
One ball to first.
Over.
Go 3-1.
Yeah. So standard issue grilled cheese. Eat this at lunch with the tomato soup, the bisque here while you listen to Paul Harvey. And then this is the Elvis Nanner peanut butter, and this has got bacon on it. Peanut butter banana and bacon sandwich.
Guy. You can have that.
And then TV dinner on a dog, basically, because TV dinners were really big in the 50s. That's a hot dog with mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, and a little fried onion on it. Let me repeat, that's a hot dog with mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, and fried onions on it.
You gonna try it?
Oh, Elvis, we got Elvis for them. I might, yeah.
You can't tell, but I'm dancing. This is how they used to shoot Elvis when he started. My feet are going crazy right now, but you can't see it.
This the hot dog, the TV dinner hot dog, has been wildly popular.
And Mercer couldn't help himself. Yeah, it all looks good. Two and two. You got to time that so the blimp goes right over a home plate just as a big pitch is coming to a Pirate hitter. Full count, 3-2. Called strike 3. Number 4 for Hamill.
First 3 swinging. This time he catches Mercer looking with the slider.
That was in the World Cup practice. USA play tonight?
I'm not sure. I haven't been focusing on the World Cup. Some of the Pirates were out early today, out kicking the soccer ball around. I saw Russell Martin out there. I think Garrett Cole, maybe Jeff Locke. A little running in by kicking a soccer ball around.
Frank McPherson tweeting that Elvis sandwich probably the healthiest of the 3, particularly if you factor in the dancing. Good point. Yep. And that'll end the inning. We'll dig in. Good eats here at the ballpark.
Welcome to Captain Daniel Curtin. The Cubs and Bank of America thank you for your service, sacrifice, and dedication.
Captain Curtin currently serving with the 182nd Airlift Wing out of Peoria. Has earned the Army Commendation Medal and the Bronze Star Medal with Valor. 16 years of service. And here today at Wrigley Field. Two to nothing, the Pirates have the lead. Brandon Compton with a sinker for a strike on Ryan Sweeney.
Sweeney with the 1-out base hit in the first, the only base runner the Cubs have had against Compton today. Flipped a little sinker the other way.
He's going to line right into the shift. Look at the shortstop Mercer.
You're looking for a way to make your business stand out from the competition. How about hosting your best customers and guests in a private suite at Wrigley Field? The Nuveen Investment Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55. Include food, all you can drink beverages, and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/suites.
One 1-0 to Rizzo. 15th homer of the year last night. 2-run homer. Gave the Cubs a brief lead. Since May 26th, he's hitting .318. That's a ground ball to first. Easy play for Ike Davis. And while we have a chance, let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Wrigley Field, Pirates and Cubs. Game 3, the Cubs won Friday, and the Pirates turned the table last night. Great to have you with us. Castro fly to centers first at bat. Over the plate. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-1. Cubs beat up on Charlie Morton on Friday, but it's been a bit of a struggle the last 2 days. Seen a lot of sinkers in this series, haven't they?
Yeah, this kid is executing his game plan nicely here this afternoon. As we mentioned, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's punched out just 14% coming into this one. League average is closer to 20%. Throw strike one a high percentage of the time, and then he'll go to work from there, expanding with sinkers out of the zone down, an occasional slider off the outside edge. Nature of this game, one man's misfortune, another man's opportunity, and that's what's happening here with the Pirates' banged up pitchers. Compton getting a shot.
In the air, 3 Pirate defenders in the area, but it'll be McCutchen, and he'll keep on running back to the first base dugout with his team leading 2-0. Little Frank Sinatra as we come back. Our Honda game summary. See what the two starting pitchers have done so far. Start something special with great leases and low financing. On the new Honda, visit shophonda.com or visit your local Honda dealer. Travis Snider homered to lead off the third inning.
It's the third consecutive game in which Jason Hamill has allowed a home run. It's no big deal, but he had gone 8 starts prior to that without giving up a long ball.
On Wednesday against the Reds, Travis Snider pitched the 9th inning in a blowout loss. He gave up 2 runs. The interesting thing is he walked Reds reliever J.J. Hoover, who was making his major league debut with the bat. He had gone 0 for 17 with 14 strikeouts in the minors, but you see he got Skip Schumacher on a ground out. And how about this changeup to strike out Joey Votto?
Yeah,
he walked Hoover and struck out Votto. How does that happen? He just lined out to Rizzo.
Yeah, now we know how to pitch Joey Votto. Belly button high inside changeups.
Got up to 86 on the fastball. The changeup I think was 79.
Now if they're really looking for a pitcher over there amongst their position players like Davis. 94-mile-an-hour fastball in high school, pitched at Arizona State.
Dad pitched in the big leagues, Ron. Quinn Hurdle getting very good work from the starting pitchers the last 2 days. 0-2 on Stewart with Compton on deck.
Cubs have been playing good ball. The entire division has been above 500 in the month of June. The NL Central. Cubs are 11-8, as are the Pirates and the Reds. Brewers have won 13 games. The Cardinals 10-9 in the month. So the division kind of standing pat in terms of the standings.
Brandon Phillips left that game today for the Reds against the Blue Jays. He's got a bruised right heel. Jose Bautista left with left leg tightness. Castro gets Stewart.
Cubs destinations provide fans with the most unique behind-the-scenes VIP game experiences available. Up next is the Boston trip, June 30th through July 2nd. You can see the Cubs take on the Red Sox at Fenway Park. This package includes great tickets, first-class hotel accommodations, a Cubs gift bag, a VIP tour of Fenway Park, and a private meet and greet with a current Cub player. For more information, visit Cubs.com.
Brett Laurie hit by a Johnny Cueto pitch. He's got a fractured right index finger. That's been a painful game for the Blue Jays and Reds today. 3 guys have left. Compton sends a fly ball out to Sweeney in right center as Hamill makes quick work of the Pirates in the 5th.
And although I know it's strictly taboo.
Great to see our good friends from Arizona, the Hohocoms, here at Wrigley Field, making the trek from Mesa. Temperature change of about probably 50 degrees. A lot of familiar faces there. And, before you know it, we'll be back at spring training. Cubs will open up Cubs Park for the second spring. And an old Expos fan also rooting for the Cubs today.
Talking to that guy in front of him. He's doing all the talking. Now they're talking over each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should have bunted in that situation. Oh, you can't bunt there. Bad baseball. Kidding me? I was right there in the front row. I like that Expo hat. I'm gonna have to get one of those. Cubs have not had a man reach scoring position today. They've only had one base runner. This is not Compton's first year in the big leagues. He had a little bit of time last year. Hit 6 times for the Pirates last season. 5 of them as a starting pitcher. Was 2-1 with a 2.05.
Part of a couple of state championship teams in high school in Georgia. 2006-2007. He was 31-3. His ERA was 1. Over that time, he hit .415. Look at some of his college numbers at Georgia Tech. He now put up impressive earned run averages as he just struck out Valbuena. ERAs of 7.19, 4.76, 5.50. He got drafted in the 9th round, 2010. But obviously, they liked his stuff.
That fastball didn't have a lot of sink on it, but good running action away from Valbuena to get his 3rd strikeout, all swinging.
So I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
If you're a scouting director and you go to your general manager and you're in the 9th round and you go, we want to draft a kid out of Georgia Tech, and you look at his numbers and you go, a 5.67 ERA, really? Yes.
Yeah, and that's when you say, well, we sit behind home plate, we put a radar gun on him, and we got him at 93 miles an hour, and his ball has good life. We just need to get him with our development people. And I'm not speaking specifically to his case, but
right
in that scenario, well, maybe the guy has mechanical flaws, so has a hard time finding the strike zone. Maybe he had some injury problems in college that led to that high ERA. I don't know.
Minor league ERA 3.58, just over 4 at the big league level. So pretty much forget about that high number in college. Doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, without looking at his numbers, you just have to assume that control was an issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, his walk totals weren't great. Let's see, in 184 innings, 77 walks. Not terrible, but not great. Back in the day when it was harder to find the stats, you could just, if you were scouting him, go, look, he gave up 35 earned runs on the year, but 28 of them were came in one start. They just had to leave him out there. So you take away that outing, he was really good. Sherholtz is on. Only the second Cubs base runner today.
Wrigleyville Rooftops has premier seating for up to 200 for corporate gatherings, family reunions, and bachelor or bachelorette parties. Individual and group tickets are available for all games. For more details, go to WrigleyvilleRooftops.com or call 773-248-ROOF.
About all you can see of the rooftops downtown today. Inside to Baker. Stewart wants to go out and talk it over with Compton. Well, I always go back to Theo Epstein's line about progress not always being linear. And I think when you look at certain guys, both pitchers and position players, who some of them were just prodigies when they were 10 years old, everybody around them knew they were going to be the best player at every level. Little league, pony league, high school, maybe college, minor leagues. That's not the way it always works.
No, that's why they draft so many players, and that's why we see so many kids that were late round draft picks come to the big leagues and excel.
And first round picks who never make it. Two and one. Time run at the plate. Cubs trail 2-0.
That time before throwing over. Clint Hurdle clearly concerned about maybe a hit and run play here with Sherholtz on first and Baker up there. Pick on that short hop throw. But, you know, we're in this situation earlier with Rizzo up there. Rizzo, you don't want to put a hit and run play on because you just want him swinging the bat. You don't want him to possibly go after a pitch off the plate. And a little different scenario here with Baker up as you get towards the bottom of your batting order. This is what you don't want.
Well, that will get Compton right out of the inning. 1-6-3 on the double play. He's only given up one hit today through 5 and leads 2-0.
Back. Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times awaiting. Grab some buds. Former Cubs third baseman Kevin Ory will be along to sing the stretch. Doing a little radio work in Pittsburgh these days.
We look forward to that conversation as Jason Hamill continues on here in the 6th. Pitched well, but he's trailing by 2.
He's retired 7 in a row. Gave up the solo home run to Snyder and then a run scoring single by Josh Harrison in the 3rd. He was having a little problem finding a release point on his slider early on. Much better the last couple of frames.
Chopper to Rizzo, and he'll feed it to Hamill just in time to get Polanco, who's 0 for 3. Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Strike to Harrison. He's a starter this year. He's hit .327. Popped into right field. Tough sun right now for Scherholtz, and he's got it. Well, these two starters are working with a good pace, and they're getting results.
Yeah, it's worth noting. Work aggressively, work quickly, kind of stay in that predator mode. You're attacking hitters. I mean, there's times when you start to struggle a little bit with your command where it makes sense to back off and slow down a little bit. And certainly, critical situation with a couple guys on base, you might take a little more time, but generally, quicker pace pays off. Stay on the attack. Don't give hitters that much time to react. And kind of think about their game plan at the plate. This is a great example here. After that errant breaking ball, he's going to take a little time, go back, get a little rosin, just do a little mental check. What's going on here? My fly unopened. I got to stay back a little bit longer, finish that breaking pitch.
We've been able to hear James Hoy say, "Yes, he did." McCutchen went around 1 and 2.
And McCutchen shot him a look as if to say, "No, I didn't." He didn't say anything.
Talking to McCutchen the other day about playing here at Wrigley Field, he said the one thing that he really likes about it, among other things, is the lack of distractions with a lot of the big boards. Put all your numbers, your batting average, and runners in scoring position, and it's ironic that he would say that you'd get distracted by it because all his numbers would be good. But he said you come here and you don't have to worry about it. Got the new fairly new LED ribbon out there in right, but
yeah, that's interesting that he would see that as a distraction.
At some point in Atlanta, a huge board they have in center, you can't miss it. And even players see it. Diving stop. Valbuena up with it. The throw, however, is a little offline. That'll be a hit for McCutchen. He keeps the inning alive.
Nice try by Valbuena. McCutchen with a infield knock and a threat to steal. 10 out of 10 in stolen bases this year is McCutchen.
Aerial coverage today provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Reminds me of a time in the summer of my discontent when I was giving it up for the Twins in '94. Coming out to pitch.
Literally how you've dubbed that year?
Yeah, sitting in the dugout and before going down to the bullpen to warm up. And I can't remember, there was an equally incompetent pitcher going for the Angels that day, and they flashed our records and ERAs up there on the board, and there's a cop sitting 5 feet away from me in the dugout, and he looks up and he sees it. Oh God, we're going to be here all day. It's like, excuse me, right here.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 2-out hits. Do you remember what happened?
No, but I'm guessing he was probably right. I don't remember. Not a lot of things went well that year.
Well, at least you've got a good attitude about it.
Like I was invisible. I said, you know, I'm trying to go to work here, pal, and you're hammering me.
That's like that old Saturday Night Live bit. Deep thoughts with Jack Henry. Depressing thoughts with Jim Deshaies.
That's what I should. I should have gone down to the bullpen and, by golly, you're good enough. You're crafty enough.
Stuart Smalley. People like me. Dangerous spot here because of the weekend Mercer has had. Now he is 0 for 2 today, but he homered on Friday off Edwin Jackson and last night off Travis Wood. He pops it up. Barney in the shallow right with a basket catch. How about some Sheb Woolley as we go to break?
Why not?
The 50s.
Looks like a purple people eater to me. It was a one-eyed, one-horn flying
the FBI sponsoring a trip to the ballpark. Sammy's Superheroes Make-A-Wish Foundation. Young guy named Sammy has been diagnosed with cancer, and so they're all out here having a good time at the ballpark and supporting Sammy. And we hope you're doing well, Sammy. Two nothing. Cubs with a hit and a walk and very little else against Brandon Compton, who's already beaten them once this month. Reds beat the Blue Jays today 4-3 in Cincinnati, and again the Reds will be here tomorrow night. Cueto over Dickey. Chapman got save number 13. In the loss, Edwin Encarnacion connected again. He's at 24. You mentioned Todd Frazier with number 17 for Cincy. Low and away.
Yeah, I think Todd Frazier, well, we still have time to play yet, but Frazier for me is the guy who should be starting the All-Star game at third base in the National League.
Close one outside.
2-2. Hoy a little double take there. He thought he got the outside corner with that two-seamer. And you talk about a quick pace. He's feeling it right now.
Harrison for the out.
In celebration of Wrigley Field's 100th season, the Cubs and MasterCard have partnered to offer a limited number of MasterCard Century seats for every game during the 2014 regular season. Fans can use their MasterCard to purchase Upper Deck box tickets for $19.14. For more information or to make your purchase, visit Cubs.com/Century Seats. Talking about these pitchers, you know, and the pace with which they're working. Not a bad idea for the hitters then to step out and take a little time. Doing a nice job keeping the ball down at the knees or below much of the afternoon, giving the Cub hitters much to swing at.
Big crowd today. Haven't had a whole lot to cheer about. That's a mistake pitch, and Jason Hamill with a base hit. It looked like Compton did him a favor.
It looked like Compton fell out of his delivery a little bit there, lost his balance, and kind of drifted forward and threw a sloppy breaking pitch up there, and Hamill able to whack it into center field for just the second base hit for the Cubs today. See how he's kind of drifting forward. Chest high breaking ball.
Well, one out base hit now. Coughlin, he's struck out and grounded out. Boy, Harrison playing about as close to the first baseman as you'll see a second baseman play. Look at that.
Yeah, that's kind of peculiar because they're not holding Hamill, so Davis is off the line and behind him.
Fly ball to right. Polanco is over, and it's going to get out of play. Wind pushing it to the seats.
I think Harrison should be a little bit more towards the base.
Well, maybe Coughlin doesn't hit any ground balls to the area that's uncovered.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Sure looks weird.
Yeah, and especially, you know, with Davis being a left-handed throwing first baseman, that's his glove side there. So there's just very little room in between those two guys. think you could justify it if Davis were holding Hamill on at first base.
Maybe Compton is so quick. Nothing's going to get by him to his left.
Well, and maybe the Pirates would say, here, we can justify it by these spray charts right here.
That's what it is. There's no question.
Yeah, but it's to me, even if the spray charts show him being that strong of a pull hitter on that side when he hits the ball on the ground, I would still be willing to cheat Harrison a little bit to his right because Davis is off the line, not holding, and he's a left-handed thrower.
The point is moot as he walks. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Wrigley Field, Pirates and Cubs. First time today the Cubs have had 2 men on. Single by Hamill. A walk to the leadoff man, Coghlan. And Ray Searage talking it over with his pitcher and catcher.
First time that Compton's been put under any pressure at all here this afternoon, and Jared Hughes starts to loosen in the Pirate bullpen.
Inside to Sweeney. Base hit to left his first time and lined out to short his second time up. Two and 0 hitters count here. The red line goes right past the ballpark. Driven to center. McCutchen has it. Hamill tagging, but he's going to hold there. 2 away. Shift against Rizzo. Harrison now in the outfield in his second base spot. You see Mercer over on the other side of the bag as well. Alvarez can't play too far off of third with that runner at second. And a strike. Well, with 2 outs late in the ball game last night, Rizzo tried to bunt his way on with this shift. This would not be that spot.
No.
Down 2 and 2 men on base.
Yeah, in that instance there was nobody on, and
it was a lefty, Tony Watson.
He's looking for something he can drive.
Lead runner off in the distance is the pitcher Hamill. That's Coghlan at first. And the 1-1 inside corner. A couple of pitcher strikes, the number 1 and the number 3.
Yeah, that's a good looking 2-seam fastball that he starts off the plate, runs it back to the inside corner. Pirates playing deep in the outfield. A double could tie this ball game. Probably would tie the ball game.
Instead, it's a ground ball right at Mercer, the shortstop, and he'll throw to Davis. Cubs strand 2 and still trail by 2. Cubs fan cam. Cheap Trick with Surrender, and we want to thank Rick Nielsen, Dax Nielsen, Tom Peterson, and all the great All-Stars. Tom Morello, Jimmy Chamberlain, Scott Lucas fronted that song at Metro on Friday night, raised a couple of $100,000 for Theo Epstein's foundation to be named later. It was a great night. Thanks for coming, JD. We had a blast.
Yeah, you guys were. The music was outstanding.
It rocked.
It rocked. It was fun.
And a strike on Pedro Alvarez. We're in the 7th, 2-0 Pirates. And Kevin Ory, former Cubs third baseman, also some time with the Florida Marlins, and a Pittsburgh guy. We got it all covered here. Kevin is in the booth, going to conduct the stretch. And that is a foul ball. Nice to see you back here at Wrigley Field. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's great to be back here. A very special day for myself and my 3 children over there. There's so much behind this, but nice to be back here and kind of connect the dots on Wrigley Field and bring up a lot of very fond memories.
Yeah, so when you come up here and take a look at this beautiful ballpark, what's the first thing you think of? Is Alvarez and the fly ball out into center, and it's Sweeney on the warning track.
First thing I think of is that right there. Not enough balls going over the fence at that warning track for one. Those flags blowing in. That's the nemesis number 2. But, you know, walking in here, it was like old times. I was as nervous walking in here today for whatever reason than I was the first game here. And I mean that. It was hard to settle down, but it was so nice to walk over here a couple of blocks and take everything in. And it's just a great city. I love it. Nothing better in the summer, as you guys are well aware of, and had a lot of family and friends live here over the years, so it made my time here a bit easier.
Travis Snyder with that leadoff home run to give the Pirates the lead. Time goes by too fast, doesn't it?
That's an understatement.
Sure feels like just yesterday for you.
It really does. It's hard to believe, and I have you know, 3 beautiful girls now that are right over to my left that make things go you know, double time now.
You had them out there with you for the first pitch, I noticed.
I did. You know, the goal, everybody's goal is not to bounce it. Well, I bounced it, and I didn't fall over, but they were trying to trip me, and it was nerve-wracking. I mean, that was a long way. The high mound, I felt like I was you know, digging in against Darren Dreifort at Dodger Stadium with that high mound. So it got the best of me. I changed my game plan at the last minute. That's a no-no.
There's a 2-1. It's up. I'm not going to ask you to scout Chris Bryant, but 6'4" third baseman. Bryant's pretty tall, and it's a position where you got to make sure you stay down, right?
Absolutely. You got to move your feet, stay down, take as many ground balls as possible, and just get comfortable. I came up as a shortstop, and I never thought I would enjoy third base. It took me about a year. The biggest adjustment was the throw. But when I got over there, I loved it. There's nothing better than the hot corner for me. And as a big guy, you know, there's pros and cons, but for me it was mostly pros. I thought had better range and come in there and made the slow roller a little bit easier. Get a big hand and just reach down there and throw it. But I hope things work out for him. It seems like he's got things going pretty well right now, and hopefully they don't rush him and he gets enough time, maybe a little bit of a longer leash up here than I did.
Yeah, and you know, Theo Epstein the other day said basically he doesn't see a reason why Bryant would be here this year's first full season as a pro. So next year seems more likely for him. Still a young guy. Dominated Double-A, and Cubs hope he'll dominate Triple-A. How about the Pirates year they had last year, Kevin? As a Pittsburgh guy, I'm sure it was nice for you to see. Their first winning season and first playoff season since 1992.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was a pleasure to be a part of. And growing up in Pittsburgh, being a Pirate fan, and that changes when you play against them. Suddenly, it's business. And now, covering the Pirates for CBS Radio, it's been really nice because now I'm a Pirate fan again. Certainly, the Cubs always are near and dear to me as well. But it's been a real treat for me to get back involved in baseball, and radio is a way to do it. And not traveling like you guys, but that's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, you're doing some pre and post game stuff.
Doing pre and post, yes. Do about every game, and again, no traveling. But my partner Dan Zangrilli and I, it's year 3, so again, time's traveling very quickly, but it's gone well, and the Pirates are winning, so you know how that goes. It makes life a whole lot easier.
No doubt.
Yeah.
2 strikes on Chris Stewart. Snyder at first after his second hit.
Oh my.
A late attempt by Stewart to stay in the count, but came up empty.
Not his best swing. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Hamill.
It's not a good feeling, is it, Kevin, when you're thinking that's going to be a strike, and I really don't think I'm going to make contact. Oh,
ooh! At least he finished, though. Usually, I would have did a check swing there, and my left wrist would have started to separate somehow. But at least he finished it, saved himself from the DL.
So last year, the Pirates obviously go to the postseason, first time in forever. This year, a little below 500, but they're showing some signs of life. What's the sense in Pittsburgh? Is it, oh my goodness, we just had one outlier season, or is the expectation now that this club should be better than they are? Are people growing frustrated? Yeah,
well, they were. There's no doubt, and that, understandably so. But now the bar is set, and fans expect to win. The first 6 weeks, in particular, were difficult. The club was not playing well, underachieving. There's guys out, injuries, like last year, and a lot of guys that got called up have come up and done a great job. And we've seen guys like Vance Worley. That's his second quality start since he's been up, and Compton's been great. So the question is, when everybody's healthy and the rotation is set, a little bit more consistency, and they're closing games a little bit more efficiently, I think they're going to be okay. But I think they're getting hot at the right time. But last year, it was incredible. I mean, you wouldn't believe that play-in game at home against the Reds. It was like no atmosphere I've ever been a part of. It was unbelievable.
Whoop. That one got all the way past Baker. And it'll be charged as a pass ball.
Yeah, I don't think of so much that he was fooled by this pitch. I think he's trying to frame it, and he doesn't want to have to reach for it. He's trying to buy the call, and it just clanks off the end of his glove. And the bad pitch, just a little bit off that outside edge, but Snyder able to get into scoring position now.
Looking here, Kevin Ory, 23 plate appearances, the most versus any pitcher. Al Leiter, you hit 350 off Al.
Oh,
his number.
Really?
Did you even know that?
I didn't know that. Al was no fun to face for righties.
Time to sing.
Oh no!
Sorry to interrupt. All right, here we go. Kevin Ory, 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser.
Former Cub third baseman Kevin Ory.
A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs!
at the Cubs' Ford upcoming schedule. Night games against the Reds. WGN Sports on the U tomorrow night. And note the 6 o'clock Central Time on WGN Wednesday evening. Ford, go further in any one of Ford's many fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Oh, I hit the post. You hit the post there, it's one word. Tequila. That's it.
You hit the post?
Yeah. You know what that means?
No. Radio, a soccer reference?
No, you hit the post in radio. That means if you have a 28-second intro where the music starts and then the song, the vocals start, talk for the first 27 seconds and then
go out
and goes right into the.
No, I did not know that.
Hit the post. One ball, no strikes. Starlin Castro, it's 2-0 Pittsburgh.
Leadoff double would work. Working quickly, working with confidence, pounding the strike zone. That's been his MO all afternoon.
Alvarez will spin, and a good throw. He has committed some errors on some throws from third, but not that time. Did you say the other day all errors but one?
All but one. He had 17 errors, and 16 of them were throwing errors. So it's kind of like, play like that, everybody in the Pittsburgh dugout kind of holds their breath. But, maybe it's one of those deals where he's better when he's not thinking, just reacting. At times, just ranging to his left, spinning and throwing. Sometimes when you start to struggle with the throwing, it becomes mental, and when you have a little more time to think, the brain gets in the way of the body and bad things happen. Get a little yippy.
Two balls, no strikes to Valbuena. Popped him up. A lot of pretty weak contact today, and a basket grab and foul ground by Mercer.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Cubs.com for details. Compton, in his first start with the Pirates this year, went 7 innings against the Reds, allowed 4 hits and 2 runs. That's the longest outing this season for Compton as a big leaguer. Usually, Clint Hurdle's gotten 5 1/3 out of them and been willing to pull the plug on him and pass the ball over to the bullpen. But right now, the way he's going, he's the best option.
Nice chat with Kevin Ory. Good guy. Good singing voice.
Yeah. 3 beautiful daughters.
Oh and 1, 2 down, nobody on here in the 7th. It has been Brandon Compton's afternoon. When Mark Melanson, in his first game after being named the closer, Jason Grilli was demoted on Friday, was terrific last night. He struck out the side in very quick fashion. The Cubs do not want to get into the 8th and 9th trailing, but they're going to as Compton strikes out Sherholtz. Still 2-0 Pirates. The Cubs, they've won them all this year and have won most of them lately here at Wrigley Field since 2011. 9 sets, and the Pirates have only dropped 1.
This year these clubs have played 12 games. The Pirates have won 8 of them. Most of them close. 8 of the 12 games decided by 2 runs or fewer. As you look at the numbers on 25-year-old flame-throwing Neil Ramirez, 0-1 with an ERA right at 1. Scoreless inning Friday night in the 6-3 Cubs win over the Pirates. A lot of things to like when you look at his numbers. Boy, impressive stuff. The lefty Tony Watson working in the Pirate bullpen.
So just as I mentioned Melanson and Watson, Compton's made 87 pitches. He might not need any help. I don't know if they would pull the plug here and just say you gave us 7 good ones or great ones really. And we'll go to our guys in the pen, or Hurdle will let him continue.
The formula says go to the guys in the pen. We'll see what Hurdle decides to do, and the fact that Watson's now throwing leads me to believe that Watson's going to start the inning.
Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. So Polanco's 11-game hitting streak might come to an end today, as he just reached, but on a walk. Brings up Harrison. RBI infield hit in the 3rd inning. Hamill was really good. 7 innings, 2 runs.
Yeah, and he's been good just about every time out so far this year. On the wrong end of it here this afternoon, but another solid effort. 1 walk, struck out 6.
In my world, he
gets a lend.
He would not be able to lose. Quality start.
Ramirez having a difficult time finding the strike zone. John Baker going to go out and talk to him. Maybe something, hey, let's not worry too much about the base runner over there. Be a little bit more aggressive, see if we can find the zone here. After Harrison, McCutchen comes up. A little more aggressive lead for Polanco, but he's not going. Definitely won't be going here. I'd be stunned to see him move now. I think if you're Clint Hurdle, you just go into wait it out mode and see if Neil can find the strike zone.
A strike. One of the inning for Ramirez. 6 straight bad ones. Throw over to first.
Polanco was picked off first base by Edwin Jackson in the 1st inning on Friday. Not yet stolen a base at the big league level, but there he goes.
Swing and a miss by Harrison. Throw to second. Late. All these headfirst slides. Got to be driving the managers crazy.
Yeah, it looks like he's hurt a little bit.
McCutchen last night got conked on the head as Barney with an aggressive tag. But Pirates management, they've got to do something. These star players should not be doing this stuff. They're not the only team.
No. It's become the default play, the head first slide, way more than the feet first slide. But for me, there's just too much risk, especially with some of these big bodied guys.
First career steal for Polanco. He's all right.
He's already taped up. That wrist is already taped up for one reason or another. Not that one, the other one.
How many guys slide feet first and walk off like they're injured? Not many, right? It was like more often than not, when you go head first, something goes wrong.
Yeah, and we honor guys that play all out and leave their feet and run into walls and do all those kinds of things. But self-preservation is an important part of this game. It's a long, grinding schedule, and if you're a player with offensive value, staying on the field is really important. And I'm not saying you have to, be a bubble boy out there, but you got to take care of yourself, not put yourself at risk.
Rizzo has it. It's a big out for Ramirez because he's got McCutchen coming up now. You do have a base open, although you've got the left-handed hitting Ike Davis on deck.
Yeah, I think my approach here, if I'm Neil Ramirez and John Baker, is I'm going to give McCutchen a chance to get himself out. I'm going to try to make quality pitches on the edges, off the plate. If he's willing to expand his zone to try to drive that run in, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Will go to third. This time he goes feet first and is tagged out. Base running mistake there by Polanco. And 2 away. Just got a tweet that said, so it's okay for non-star players to slide head first, but not okay for the star players. No, it's not okay for anybody, but especially
it does.
The star players.
Just because of their value of staying on the field.
Yes. I don't know why that's confusing. Head first sliding is dangerous.
And again, especially for the bigger guys. We saw Josh Hamilton get hurt earlier this year doing it. Bryce Harper still out. Guy's a little lower to the ground. Bonifacio type player. Probably get away with it a little bit more.
Tell you what, a fractured wrist in 2 months on the DL, that will cure all of that. Most organizations just can basically ban it in the minor leagues to try to teach it early, but for whatever reason guys still do it. Some guys do it at first base, which makes no sense. James Russell is up. Long pause by Neil Ramirez. The pitch blocked by Baker. I guess the last thing I'll say about it for now, not that guys want to play like Ty Cobb did, but when you change things around and go feet first, you might make the defender a little more vulnerable as opposed to head first when you're the vulnerable man, right?
Yeah, well, you
Not
see
that
it
it's a weapon, but
but you do see a lot of middle infielders, second basemen, shortstops taking throws at second base. If they know a guy goes head first all the time, you'll see him drop that knee down in front of the base.
No doubt.
Whereas if you're a guy who goes feet first, they're much less likely to do that.
Cobb was notorious for going in spikes high. So I've read.
Yeah, the legend of Ty Cobb. They say he used to sharpen his spikes. I don't know if that's true or not, but he was not a pleasant guy.
Oh, and 1 on Mercer.
Went up in the stands, beat the daylights out of a fan one time. For the most part, Ramirez has not had these struggles with his control. 6 walks coming into this outing, a couple here now. You could live with walks with power guys that strike out a lot of hitters. You can live with a few extra walks.
Ground ball to the shortstop. Nice play by Castro's. McCutcheon was trying to screen him. 2-0 Pirates late.
I find myself alone when each day's through.
I walk the line.
Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you. Because you're mine, I walk the line.
The red line, brown line. New pitcher is nasty left-hander Tony Watson. Good stuff.
Power sinker, mid-90s fastball, good changeup. And check out the numbers. An ERA of 0.79. He's allowed just 1 home run.
Lake is batting for John Baker.
Junior, 2 out of 15 as a pinch hitter. Check that. 0 for 11 as a pinch hitter. Nobody's had any success against Watson. Unless there's another subcategory we're not aware of.
Barehanded Harrison, safe on the head slide by Lake.
Didn't need to. The only time that really makes sense if you're anticipating an errant throw or you're dropping to avoid a tag. But
good timing.
Junior Lake's on base, and that brings the tying run to home plate. Now, this is a good bunt too. They got the shift on. He pushes that ball intentionally out towards second base. Normally, when he tries the bunt, he's looking to drop it down the third baseline. But good scheme and good execution by Junior Lake. Wilson probably could have handled that ball with his glove and still had a shot at him.
Strike called on Darwin Barney. Wellington Castillo, just off the disabled list, is on deck in the pitcher's spot. That's a base hit to left. Lake will stop at second. So yeah, it's a tough lefty and Tony Watson, but it's not Brandon Compton. And Compton in 7 innings gave up 2 hits. Watson has allowed 2 hits. He's faced 2 batters.
Yeah, we talked about it last inning that this is the formula. You go to your 8th inning guy and then your closer in the 9th, regardless of what's preceded. More times than not, you'll see a manager do that. Not an easy decision the way Compton was going along here this afternoon, and one that Clint Hurdle may be starting to second guess himself on after Lake and Barney reach. Castillo has been called back. And Travis Wood's going to come up and try to get down a sacrifice bunt.
It'll be Travis Wood instead of Castillo.
Cubs making noise here in the bottom of the 8th. Hector Rondon begins to throw in the bullpen.
Wood won the game on Monday in Miami off the bench in the 13th with an RBI double. Exited early last night and only had 1 plate appearance as a result. And the Pirates expecting a bunt.
Careful.
Out a second, knocked down there by Mercer.
Tough play for a base runner. You see that ball in the strike zone as your bunter squares around, so you want to make sure you get a good aggressive break towards third base, but with the bunt through, you become vulnerable to that throw in behind you. Not all that concerned with Junior Lake, though. We got a 2-run lead.
Oh, 2.
Not an easy assignment bunting this guy.
Gets it down on the 0-2. Travis Wood with a sacrifice bunt. 1-4.
Outstanding job by Travis Wood. Now base hit to tie this ball game.
Wellington Castile for Chris Coughlin. Parade of pinch hitters. Third one of the inning. First at bat in a while. A pitch off the plate in. June 1st was his last game in Milwaukee. It was 3 weeks ago. Suffered an injury to his left rib cage. They called it rib cage inflammation. Fouled out of play. We sent out happy birthday wishes to Tim Wickland watching at home today. Moving on the Cubs as they try to come back late. You just turned us on. You're going, wait a minute, what are the Cubs wearing today? Those are the 1953 throwback uniforms. Same for the Pirates. 2-2. Chris Bryant has homered for the second time with the Iowa Cubs. He has 24 on the year.
Yeah, well, what's the over under? 40? Look at 40 this year, won't he? Tough to do in a minor league season.
I would say 35 to 40. The pace is probably well above that.
Minor league season ends around Labor Day. How many Baez end up with last year?
37.
Didn't he lead all of minor league baseball, or maybe one better than? Maybe Springer had one or two more. Iowa Cub fans going to get a treat watching those two guys.
Tied for second among all minor league hitters with the 37. Castillo strikes out on a foul tip. It's a big one for Watson. Still not out of the inning, and he'll face another pinch hitter. The fourth of the inning in Justin Ruggiano.
And a little either turnover sink piece or maybe a changeup from Watson. Pretty good pitch. He had been running that ball in on Castillo a fair bit in that sequence, and then well placed off the edge to finish him off.
Beautiful shots from the blimp today. Oh, 2. 96 on those first two fastballs. 1-2.
So hoping for a chance here with a couple of men on base. It's up to Ruggiano to keep the line moving.
Called strike 3 on a fastball, and the inning is over. We go to the ninth, 2-0 Pirates. Lake now in center after pinch hitting. Wellington Castillo after pinch hitting will now catch for left-hander James Russell.
One scoreless inning for Neil Ramirez. No hits, no runs, a couple of walks. Didn't strike out anybody. Russell's chopped better than a run off that ERA his last 10 appearances. 0-1 with a 2.33 now. 28 times he's been out there. He's batting 191 against Russell.
Strike call to Alvarez. Cubs over shift in the infield.
Last year, right-handed batters batted 321 off of Russell. Been able to turn that around significantly this year. Well below 200 off of him.
Tigers 10, Indians 4. That's a sweep for Detroit. Scherzer got the win. Guerrero with his 13th homer. We mentioned Reds over the Blue Jays 4-3. Behind Johnny Cueto. A's over the Astros 5-2 the final. Mets beat the Marlins 11-5. They had 17 hits today.
Is that 3 out of 4 for the Mets over the Marlins?
That's right. The Marlins are below 500 for the first time since April 30th. 3-7 on their homestand.
The Mets shut them out a couple times in that series.
Let's see here. Yeah, 1-0 and 4-0. They won 3 out of 4. And the standings over in the East.
Pretty
Marlins
tight.
still just 2.5 out, even though they have struggled lately.
Some of these GMs that are going to want to dump veterans for young players are going to have some splaining to do to their fan bases, because so many teams that probably didn't think they'd be in it at this time of year are.
In the air to right, and it's Scherholtz for the out. By the way, Felo Ramirez, longtime Marlins Spanish language radio play-by-play man, still working every day. He was here at Wrigley and with the Marlins, and we just saw them this week. Today celebrated his 91st birthday.
No way.
I don't know what the all-time record is for oldest
guy in the
everyday broadcaster, but he's got to be getting really close.
Yeah.
Oh, love Felo.
I didn't realize he was 91.
91 years old.
I think he and Lenny Marullo together and tell some stories.
That's right. Pitching change here with Tabata announced for Snyder, and it'll be Pedro Strop when we come back. Pedro Strop to pinch hitter Jose Tabata. 1 out in the 9th.
Strop 0-3 now with a 3.57 ERA. See, he's been tough to hit. Control sometimes a bit of an issue. Tabata's been really good off the bench. 8 out of 27, and overall he's been pretty darn good too of late. 400, 10 out of 25 his last 14 games. Just finding a hard time getting playing time. Hitting at a 333 clip going back to April 25th.
Strop from the stretch. Here's a 2-1. Hit hard on the ground. Backhanded play by Valbuena. He gets him. Mark Melancon. He'll get the bottom of the ninth. Struck out the side last night. Baseball produced by Mark Brady. Our director is Skip Ellison. Doug Stanton, our associate producer. The executive producer of WGN Sports is Bob Vorwald. Thanks to our entire crew, studio coordinator Christina Ballas, stage manager booth Paula Ostroba.
Cincinnati Ball Club rolls in here next. Samardzija versus Alfredo Simon tomorrow night. Simon's been really good. He's 10-3 with a 3.05.
Simon says he was a fill-in guy for Latos, but stayed in the rotation when Latos came back.
Arrieta and Bailey on Tuesday. Jackson Latos on Wednesday.
Ball center field. Junior late makes a catch, and we will go to the last of the night. It is a 2-0 Pirates lead. Cubs baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Ford, manufacturers of America's best-selling brand. Check out our best-selling lineup at your local Ford store or online at localfordstores.com. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Low clouds and fog hovering over the city here on this generally sunny Sunday afternoon. Tabata now playing left. Mark Melancon is on, trying to get his 12th save. He's filling in for Jason Grilli earlier due to an injury, but now he's the closer due to performance. And that ball will drop. Look at that. Harrison and Polanco out there, and Rizzo found the perfect spot, and that'll get the tying run to the plate with nobody out.
Cubs made a little noise in the 8th, couldn't push anybody across home plate. Now trying to take a run at Melancon here in the 9th. Cut fastball, it's his best pitch, and that's what he throws here. He gets it in on Rizzo, and Anthony's still able to muscle it out there over the head of Harrison, find a little green space between the rover and the right fielder. Garland 1 out of 7 in his career off of this talented right-hander. Curveball and a change too to go along with that cutter.
Struck out last night to start the ninth, and no pitch. Strike one. And the Cubs cleanup man. It's it for a significant amount of power since put into the 4th spot in the lineup. It's the curveball, 1-1.
His OPS. Second among National League shortstops behind Troy Tulowitzki. There's Stewart doing a nice job. You see that breaking ball kicking back the other way, and he's able to knock it down, keep it in front. No chance for advancement. No need to take any chances on the bases. Bit of a hanger there. He got away with it. Finished that curveball and it stayed up.
Right field and a base hit. Rizzo toward third. The throw there is cut off. First and third, nobody out.
That's a great example of why right-handed hitters have a little bit better chance against Melanson than left-handers, certainly against the cutter. The ball moving in on the hands of a left-handed hitter induces a lot of weak contact. This time you're able to, it's off the end of the bat, but there's a little more to work with down there at that end of the bat than the one down around your knuckles. For the second straight inning, the Cubs making a little push.
That's a key guy right there, Castro. It's a tying run. Buena pops it up, and this will make the seats behind the Cubs dugout. Shutout through 8 today, but trying to make a 9th inning comeback. The Cubs have had more base runners the last 2 innings against Watson and Melanson.
There's a strategic argument to have Valbuena bunt here, but from the personnel standpoint, you want him swinging the bat.
Cubs got 2 in scoring position in the 8th inning. And then pinch hitters Castillo and Ruggiano struck out. Now, most teams get that guy in from third in this spot. But again, Rizzo's run only gets you halfway there. Key is to get Castro to the plate.
Got to be ready for a bounce breaking ball here if you're Castro. Take advantage of a ball in the dirt, get yourself into scoring position.
He held. It's 1-2.
That's the one. That's the one. You got to find a way to get to second base on that ball. You have to anticipate it. Secondary lead, a couple of shuffles. You see the ball in the dirt. You see that catcher. You see Buck Showalter used to talk about. Watch the shin guards of the catcher. They start to tilt down. He's getting into block mode.
Swing and a miss for the first out. Now, Melanson has two pitches that can be very difficult pitches for left-handers to hit. That knuckle curve, spike curve, and then the cutter.
And he'll get a lot of ground balls with his curve ball. Gets a lot of strikeouts, gets a lot of ground balls, keeps the ball in the ballpark. That's why he's a tough guy to beat late in the game. You give him a 2 or 3 run lead. He doesn't make many mistakes. You got to string some hits together. That's why you've got to get to second base on that ball in dirt. You have to take advantage of every little opportunity. If there's ever a time to take a shot, right, to gamble a little bit, it's in the 9th inning when you're down a couple.
Lake on deck. The 1-0 to Scherholtz. He just broke his bat on a ground ball to second. The flip to second out there. Mercer came up off the bag, but it looked like he came down in time. Run scores. It's 2-1. That's the second out of the inning, and Ricky will head out and probably worth a challenge. Yeah, and I think he's going to say challenging.
Yeah, given what's at stake here, I think I don't think he has a whole lot of conviction that he's going to be right, but it's worth taking a look at.
And Melanson had to get out of the way of the flying broken bat. And already officially challenging it. Yep.
Out.
He was out. Worth a shot. So that'll be an RBI fielder's choice for Scherholtz. 2 outs in the 9th, and that's a very quick review.
The ball gets hung up a little bit in the glove of Harrison, so the toss is high, but Mercer clearly back on the bag before Castro can get there.
The other reason you challenge this is, even though he lost the challenge by losing, that particular one, he can now make suggestions because we're past the 6th inning. So we got to do it, even though it was pretty obvious they were not going to overturn. So here it is, 2 outs. Tying run still at first. It's now Scherholtz. And the pitch to Junior Lake. Fly ball in the air to right, and this will do it. Polanco with the catch. Melanson gives up a run, but hangs on to the lead and the win. The Pirates take the final 2.
A little too late. A little pressure in the 8th. Finally break through in the 9th, but couldn't get anything done against the starter Compton.
So the Pirates win 2 of 3. The final score today: Pittsburgh 2 and the Cubs 1.